I'm Carla, 35 years old. I work part-time to help my busy husband while also being a homemaker. My husband Gary is a bit older than me, and he's a calm and kind person. We've been together for over 6 years, and we've hardly ever had any serious fights. We both moved to the city, so our families are far away. The first time I met his family was when we went to introduce ourselves before our wedding. We didn't see much of each other after that because the wedding followed shortly. There were no issues during the introduction, and I remember Gary's mom Stacy and his sister Nora being really happy. They said things like, "I'm so glad my son is marrying such a cute girl. I've always wanted an older sister." My parents were also relieved to see how happy they were. I thought I had a good relationship with my in-laws, but I started to feel something was off when we went back home for our first Christmas as a married couple. Stacy called beforehand and said, "I want to prepare a feast, so let me know what you like and dislike." I was touched by her thoughtfulness and honestly told her I like meat, but am not a fan of seafood. However, on our first night back, the dinner table was full of shrimp and crab, which I don't like. I was surprised, but I thought maybe she had misheard me. I don't have any allergies, so I didn't think it was a big deal. Gary also told her, "Carla doesn't like seafood, so can we have something else tomorrow?" And she apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood." While I was busy peeling shrimp for Gary, I looked up and saw Stacy smirking at me. It felt weird, and I wondered for the first time if she did it on purpose. After Gary's comment, we didn't have seafood for the rest of our stay, but we also didn't have any meat dishes. And before the 4th of July, Stacy called again to ask what I liked and disliked. Remembering what happened last time, I told her, "I like everything except seafood." At the party, there was shrimp cocktail, but there were plenty of other dishes, so it wasn't a problem. However, little things started to irritate me, like the hot water being turned off while I was showering or finding footprints on my boots. When I asked Stacy about it, she said things like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were in the shower." Or, "I accidentally stepped on them." I couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. When I responded with a confused, "Huh," Nora glared at me and said, "Are you saying Mom is doing it on purpose?" Stacy, looking hurt, stood behind her like a victim. But then Gary's dad, Scott, who seemed oblivious, said, "Stacy, are you losing your mind?" Her expression turned furious. Even someone as dense as me could see it now. This was harassment. After our second family gathering, I was sure of it and didn't want to visit my in-laws anymore. I told Gary, "Your mom is being mean to me." "She is? Maybe she's losing her mind?" He was just as clueless as ever and thought maybe she was just confused. His comment reminded me of what Scott had said last year. So I came up with a plan to make Gary understand. "I'll call your mom now and you remember what I say, okay?" I told him, then called Stacy on speakerphone. "Hi, Stacy. I've been feeling nauseous when I eat beef lately. Could you prepare something else for Christmas this year?" "Okie doke," she replied. Gary looked puzzled. "But you ate beef ribs last night," he said. "Yeah, what I just told your mom was a lie," I said to him. "Just remember this conversation until Christmas." When Christmas came, the table was filled with beef dishes. Steak, stew, stroganoff, you name it. My husband couldn't believe his eyes. He finally understood what Stacy and Nora were doing. "Oh, this looks amazing," Scott said, clueless as usual. "I went all out," Stacy laughed. Gary, these are all your favorites, Nora said, grinning knowingly. Just as I predicted. As I was trying to come up with how to confront them, Gary stood up and pulled me with him. Mom, you really have been harassing Carla, haven't you? He said. Stacy and Nora panicked. What are you talking about? I don't harass Carla. Yeah, Mom's right. She cooked all those dishes for her. Well, guess what? I was there when she told you on the phone she couldn't eat beef, but look at this spread. You did it on purpose. Their faces turned pale. Let's go, Carla. Wait a minute. Then Gary's dad said, Stacy, Nora, tell me what you've been doing to Carla. Usually cheerful and composed, he now glared at them with a stormy expression. Amidst the shouting and crying of Stacy and Nora, we left the house. On the way home, Gary kept apologizing. We decided not to visit his family for a while. I knew that to Gary, his mother was kind and his sister was sweet, so considering his shock, I felt bad. Scott later wrote us a letter saying we didn't have to see them until they sincerely apologized. He even included a gift card saying, Please buy something you really like with this and enjoy. Life without visiting the in-laws was peaceful, until we got news that Scott had collapsed. Gary was unsure about visiting, but I encouraged him saying, Your dad is more important than my feelings. And we headed to the hospital together. We saw Stacy and Nora for the first time in a year and went straight to Scott's hospital room. He wasn't in any immediate danger, but the extent of his recovery would depend on his rehab. Seeing Gary's sad and worried face reminded me of how he stayed away from his family to protect me. Seeing Scott, my husband and I felt a bit relieved. There's a great restaurant with delicious German sausages near the hospital. Carla, you like meat, right? Stacy asked, looking at us cautiously. I was surprised she remembered what I liked. We haven't had much appetite since Dad got sick. We need to eat well and stay strong, Nora added, acting all sweet again. Since it was a public place, we decided to go along with her suggestion and eat out. And the German sausages were really delicious. Under different circumstances, I would have eaten them with a big smile on my face. Is it good? Order more if you want. Nora was also in a good mood, saying, I'm so happy to eat with you guys. The atmosphere was surprisingly pleasant, which made me uneasy. As we left the restaurant and headed to the station, we ran into one of Gary's old classmates. They were having a get-together, a mini reunion, and invited him. He looked like he wanted to go. Oh, sweetie, you haven't seen them in a while. You should go. You can stay at our place tonight, if Carla is okay with it, that is. Stacy and Nora glanced at me, waiting for my response. I couldn't refuse. He had stayed away from his hometown and friends because of me. Go ahead, Gary. Go have fun, I told him. He was surprised, but happy. Stacy and Nora seemed to have genuinely changed. I let my guard down, thinking we could handle one night. But people don't change that easily, as I would soon find out in the most unpleasant way. Gary left for the reunion, and we returned to the house. Carla, let's have dinner, Stacy called. I was relieved to see nothing unusual on the table. Oh, I forgot I got a cake for you two. It's in the freezer in the garage. Could you bring it in so that it could thaw out as we have dinner? She asked. I agreed, and I didn't feel like a servant. I opened the door to the garage and the freezer, and there was indeed a cake inside. And then I heard the door lock behind me. I had a bad feeling and tried to open the garage door, but it was locked. Didn't think we'd get a chance to pay you back so soon. I heard their nasty voices and saw two smirking faces pressed against the upper window of the door. The memories from a year ago came rushing back. They hadn't changed at all. "You tricked me," I said. "No, you tricked us and tried to keep our son to yourself. Did you enjoy it?" "I just showed Gary the truth." "That kind of attitude is no fun. Dragging him into a fight between women is unfair," Nora added. "Isn't it more unfair to gang up on me?" I shot back. "You're so annoying. Apologize for what happened last year, and maybe we'll let you in," Stacy said, looking down on me. "Why should I apologize? I did nothing wrong." "Because you threw a tantrum and Gary couldn't see his dad," Nora accused. "Well," I hesitated, feeling guilty for keeping him away from his family. She wasn't wrong about that. "We won't let a dirty woman like you in the house. Sleep in the garage tonight. No dinner. If you want in, apologize, follow my rules, and make sure Gary knows that it was all misunderstanding. Got it?" Stacy said, then left. I stared at the locked door, shocked. Was it my fault? Should I have endured more so Gary could see his dad? I could hear happy voices from the house. No, Stacy and Nora's harassment was the problem. If they had been nicer, none of this would have happened. No matter how awful they were still my husband's family. I was willing to forgive them if they showed remorse, but I'd had enough. If they wanted to fight, I was ready. I pounded on the door over and over again. "Stacy! Nora! Let me in!" Of course, they ignored me. But the neighbor heard the noise and opened her door. She looked at me concerned. "Sorry to bother you. I'm their daughter-in-law. Stacy told me to sleep in the garage tonight," I said, trying to lie down. The woman rushed over and helped me up, listening to my story. Turns out, she was Gary's childhood friend's mom and close to Stacy. At first, she was shocked by Stacy and Nora's harassment, but seeing me without my wallet or phone, drenched in sweat on that muggy night, she believed me. She suggested we confront Stacy together, but I was scared of their retaliation without Gary there. I asked her to take me to the bar where he was. Luckily, her son was also at the reunion, so she agreed to take me there. Seeing me sweaty and dirty, Gary was shocked. "Oh, Carla, I'm sorry you had to go through that. If I hadn't come to the party, this wouldn't have happened," he said. "It's not your fault. I told you to go." The real culprits were Stacy and Nora. There were 6 of Gary's classmates at the reunion, and I felt embarrassed showing up in such a mess. But his friends were angry for me and supportive. They ordered me food and drinks, which revived me. I was about to stand up and leave the place with Gary to confront them when one of his female friends made a suggestion. The plan was for me to stay at her house while he went back to his parents' house as if nothing had happened. Then he would ask them, "Where's Carla?" and see how they would react. It would show their level of remorse and help gather evidence, so we decided to go with the plan. The reunion ended around 11 p.m. I went to Gary's friend's house, and he went home. The next morning, I returned to find Gary standing outside with a tired-looking Stacy and Nora. They looked relieved for a moment, but then rushed at me, furious. "How dare you stay out all night? We were worried sick staying up waiting for you," Stacy yelled. As planned, Gary must have kept my whereabouts a secret. "You locked me out," I said. "No, I didn't. You ran off on your own, probably looking for men," she accused. After kicking me out, Stacy and Nora must have thought they could lie to Gary since there was no proof. Or maybe they thought I would break down and apologize. Later, he told me that after they kicked me out, they had a drink and fell asleep, completely forgetting about me. When he returned and they saw I wasn't in the garage, they panicked and lied, saying I had gone out and hadn't come back. Their short-sightedness was laughable. "Stacy, I pounded on the door many times. The noise must have turned on the security camera, and it must have been recorded," I said. "What?" Stacy gasped. She must have forgotten she had bragged about the new monitor with the latest technology. "Mom, the neighbor across the street saw Carla trying to sleep in the garage. She joined us at the reunion last night, and we talked about everything. I came back alone to see your reaction. Carla stayed with my friend because she couldn't come back to a house with such a monstrous mother-in-law and sister-in-law. I came back first to see how you would behave." The realization that their mistreatment of me was now known to Gary and the whole neighborhood turned their faces pale. "Instead of reflecting on your actions when Carla went missing, you blamed her. It's unbelievable. I will never forgive you for this. We're never coming back." "No!" Stacy and Nora both cried out in anguish. Ignoring them, we left the house. After that, we never returned as promised. The only concern I had was about Scott, but when he was transferred to a rehab hospital, we arranged for him to be in our area. He was so disappointed in Stacy and Nora that he didn't want to see them for a while. Helping him with his rehab made Gary happy, and his previously dark expression lightened up. I also enjoyed spending time with Scott, who was kind and humorous. Meanwhile, the in-laws' house became infamous in the neighborhood for their harassment. Gary's friend's mother and his friends told everyone the details of what happened to me. People found it hard to believe because Stacy and Nora had a good public image, but the vivid stories and witnesses of our argument added credibility. Stacy and Nora became recluses, rarely leaving the house. Occasionally, they sent apology emails to Gary and Scott, but never to me. They didn't seem genuinely remorseful. But I had no intention of forgiving them, and so I didn't need their apologies. Lately, I've become hooked on camping. I would never go back to their house, but I thought I should be prepared for emergencies. Collecting camping gear and going on actual trips made me love it. Seeing me plan a camping trip for the upcoming holidays, Gary smiled wryly. He was also getting into camping because of me. "You're one tough cookie, Carla," he said. "Don't you like tough wives?" "Oh, I love them, especially you," he replied. And so my strong-willed self and my easygoing, kind husband continue to enjoy our life together.